We have, and we've got a few things to unveil. There's Patrick's sculpture, which you'll talk about in a minute, and we've got the stone carved bench, which you've probably seen in the distance, that came from the stone carving competition. And we've got a few smaller bronzes to carry on the theme from the little bronzes that we did with the school children in the area, and a few more stone carvings that we did with Bath City College as well. And they will all become evidence in the opening of the park later this year.
That's due in July, isn't it?
It is, yes, and there'll be a celebration as the finishing of the park and the opening of it officially. And as you can see, it's starting to come together now.
Yeah, there have been a few problems, a few dead trees, but I suppose the replacements will come later in the year.
Yeah, absolutely, they are planned. They were so affecting, the fact that they were dead, and everybody, noticed it. It was just unfortunate, but the Crest have certainly got plans to replace them and make that good.
You and I go back to before the old Destructor Bridge was dismantled. The thing I'm looking forward to seeing is the two scrolls from one end. Is it still planned to put them in this new park?
Indeed, the bases are in. You can just about make them out in the other side of the park, and we are looking at which date to install them. Again, they're heavy and they need some care putting in, but they will be part of the grand unveiling, yeah, for sure.
We're looking forward to that. Patrick, we've got you here. You have one major sculptural piece down here already, don't you? Yeah. The other side of the Victoria Bridge. Were you pleased to be invited to come back and do something else here?
Oh, really pleased, because I wanted there to be a kind of continuity with my sculptures, and moving on from the Herschels and being able to bring it up to Victorians was, a special thing of making a space. People
no doubt you've done your research. I'd never heard of Mr. Jennings before. A clergyman who, as I understand it, said he was too busy to go on the Beagle. He could have been a lot more famous than he was.
Yeah, he could have been. He was a little bit older than Darwin, not too well in health, and he passed it over to Charles Darwin to go on the second voyage.
Well, it's undercover, but can you give us any idea how you are interpreting Jennings?
Okay, well, what I've done, I've made a kind of poetical space where two people could have met, well, they did meet, and instead of them sitting on the bench, there's just a footprint of their interests. So you can sit in the seats where they may have sat, and think about your own thoughts, but also interact with these two characters that changed the world.
Can I just say something there? One of the intentions was to carry on and have a consistency of that the Herschels brought, to bring it into the park and make it continue through the site. So again, there's a little bit of a trompe-l'oeil about it. You will expect it to have a certain historical feel, and if you're not aware of what it's doing there will certainly be a curiosity about the items that Patrick's beautifully crafted around the seat.
You are well known for the sort of interaction in your work between the natural and the man-made.
Exactly, that's right, yeah. So yeah, my normal sculptures that I show in Bath quite a lot are interactions between wildlife and man-made thoughts and objects. And in a way, this is similar. I've taken objects from the human world of an interior space and placed them outside. But there's also the natural world interacting with those humans to change the course of science, I suppose.
Your interest in the natural world, does that spring from the fact that once upon a time you were going to be a gardener rather than an artist?
Partly, yes. Yeah.
You were doing horticulture, am I right?
I did horticulture briefly, yeah. But I mean, I suppose similar with a lot of artists, my interest in drawing started from having asthma and sitting quietly and putting all those hundreds of hours into something which would have been drawing.
That is quite amazing. Connections with the film industry too. I read you've done everything from recreating full-size Spitfires to, of course, working for Aardman Animation.
Yeah, Aardman's and the famous Spitting Image, of course. So that was my big apprenticeship to becoming a full-time fine artist.
Well, gentlemen, thank you both very much indeed for your time, and we look forward to the unveiling. And Peter, I'm sure you look forward to the completion of the project and people enjoying this facility.
Yeah, absolutely. We're hoping that people will find lots of discoveries, to enjoy that are embedded throughout the park and the site. And I'm sure once the planting's all grown up and people are starting to populate it and use it, it'll just be part of their environment. It'll just add a richness to this area.
And I'm sure both of you would agree, as you are both artists, that the more sculpture in Bath, the better.
Yeah, the more artists engage with projects is certainly good. I think their creativity, their visions, their questioning of what is meaningful, the skills, that we need it. We need to encourage that creative thinking and engagement with our landscape. How you place it in a World Heritage City, that's a big concern and consideration that needs to come. But I think now Bath is getting to a stage where it is actually brave enough to take on the contemporary in this heritage environment, and so I'm certainly behind those that have ambitions to do that.
That's a good word, brave. Patrick, there are stories rumbling about there's Professor Tim Mole wants a statue of John Wood in the circus. The Jane Austen Society want Jane up somewhere. What's your reaction to all of this?
Well, that sounds great. Taking the heritage of Bath into the outside world and not keeping it in museums has got to be good, where people can interact.